Stephanie is going to talk about we can do hard things. Stephanie is a certified Maxwell Leadership Director and Children's and Youth Ministries Director here at the church. And for the past 20 years, sorry about that, she is passionate about helping people of all ages find direction, value, and peace. Having had the honor of checking off many of life's boxes at a young age, unsettled child, teenager with a life plan, young parent, without a life plan, young parent, married parent, divorced parent, single parent, empty nester, sandwich generation, survivor, Steph speaks from experience about navigating through life's network of challenges. She truly believes that it is not what happens to you on your journey, but how you respond to it that matters. Please welcome Steph Nelson.
Can y'all hear me? Yes. All right. Okay. First of all, isn't John the best? Thank you, John. And also, isn't Tracy the best? I'd also like to thank you, Tracy, for inviting me to speak, and also I especially appreciate you inviting me to speak right after Jovan, because I'm not sure I can live up to that. I met Tracy through St. Mark's. Her kids, I do children's ministry here at St. Mark's, and your kids are involved in my program here, and her kids are absolutely amazing. And so I just feel so honored and so blessed to know you, to know your children and your family, and what an honor to be here and to know all of you. I met the Grant crew over here this morning, so I'm just like, that's just a blast from the past. I grew up in Grant, well, I grew up in Oglala and Grant, and just an honor to be able to reconnect with you guys and to connect with all of you this morning. So thank you so much. I feel blessed to be able to speak here. So let me just start out by asking you guys, what is the hardest thing that you've ever done? Totally not a rhetorical question. Maybe some of you guys might say that this right now, going through cancer treatment, might be the hardest thing you've ever done. And I commend you for that. It is hard, really hard, right? Every single day is a battle, right? Finding the energy to make it through the end of the day is a battle. Finding the energy to make it to lunch sometimes is a battle, right? So finding the energy to get out of bed sometimes is a battle. And believe me, I am right there with you, I tell you. But when you do make it to the end of the day, when you do make it to lunch, when you do make it out of bed, how do you feel? Do you feel a little bit accomplished? Do you feel a little bit stronger? Do you feel a little bit more empowered than you did 5 minutes before? And if you say, nope, I still feel just as exhausted as I did before, that's okay. Because what I want to do with you here today is talk about how even when we're exhausted, even when we feel like we can't take another step, we can still appreciate ourselves for the work that we're doing to repair and to renew and to rebuild when we're going through something that is really, really hard. So let's take a minute and give ourselves some credit for the badasses that we really are. Okay? Should we do that? All right, yes. So once when I was working out with a personal trainer, he prepared me for the work that we were going to do in a workout. And by we, what I really mean was I, because he was not working out with me, it was just me. But most of the workout was going to be pretty hard, okay? And most of that was going to be within my ability to handle. But the really hard stuff, like this stuff that was beyond my current aerobic ability to handle. It was only going to come in short spurts, and it was only going to come 3 times within the workout. And he told me that I was going to get plenty of recovery between those 3 times, right? So having this knowledge, it felt great. I knew that I knew what I was going to expect, right? I knew I wasn't going to be thrown any curveballs during that workout, right? I wasn't going to have to figure out anything along the way. But the whole workout was still hard. But you know what? It was boring. Seriously, sometimes it's those curveballs that make things interesting. This workout also helped me understand that I could train for the really hard stuff. I could train to be more resilient. Let's talk about what resiliency means. So first of all, let's break down the word a little bit, resiliency. So the prefix of resiliency, re, means back or backwards, indicating backward motion, right? So think about regenerate, refurbish, retrace, revert, all indicating backwards motion, okay? And then when we think about resilience, the other part comes from a Latin word, ciliar, which means to bounce. And because I do children's ministry, I brought along a visual aid, right? So let's put those two together and we get bounce back, resilience, right? Okay, so y'all get where I'm going with this, right? Resilience. So bounce back, we think, okay, just like that, resilience. We can bounce back. And you're thinking, it's just that easy. Is it really that easy? I don't know. By the way, the Webster's definition of resiliency, the capacity to withstand or recover quickly from difficulties, from difficulties, or in other words, toughness. Remember when I said we should celebrate you all? I was not kidding, right? People can go through hard things and recover from them. So let me tell you a little bit about how I have learned to build resiliency. So I grew up in western Nebraska in a normal family with a normal dog and a normal yard. And I don't remember a lot about my childhood, but I'm gonna blame that on the normal blonde hair. But I do remember moving quite a little bit, like maybe 11 times with my dad's job. I was building resiliency. After I grew up, I went to college, I graduated, I got married, had a daughter, and I started my career in education and children's ministry. And everything was normal until it wasn't. My husband started to struggle with mental illness and addiction. It was a long, dark path for him and us, one that led to the end of our marriage. I was building resiliency during that time. It was a really dark time for myself and for my daughter as well. And at that time, I needed to make decisions for both of us. One of which was the choice to move out of our family home in order to protect our own safety. And I'm extremely grateful for my parents who opened their home to us. If it wouldn't have been for them, we would have been homeless. I was building resiliency. After a long legal battle with supervised visits and with family intervening to fend off multiple suicide attempts, we unfortunately were left to deal with the consequences of his decision to end his life. My daughter was 13 at the time. We're very grateful for trained counselors, unbelievably supportive church members, and our family and friends who literally picked us up and helped us make it to lunch some days. I was building resiliency. But resiliency is an amazing thing. We did make it to lunch. And we did make it to the end of the day. And the next day, and the next. And some of those days were really blurry. But they started to clear. And after a year or so, we started to see the sunshine. And then COVID hit. And my daughter spent 4 months in her bedroom on her computer. And her teachers started to call me, and they started to ask me if she was okay. And I said, I don't really think she is. And a little while after that, my doctor said, you need to get a mammogram. My very first one. I wasn't worried, but I should have been. I got the news while I was at a camp in Iowa. I was alone, sitting in my car when I took the phone call. Do you remember when you got your news? Did you get a lump in your throat? Did you fight back tears? I had so many questions, but I couldn't put words to the questions. Biopsy, lumpectomy, radiation. I can talk about all of that right now, but at the time, all I remember is the feeling of being overwhelmed. Are you okay? Yep, I'm okay. Everything's normal. I didn't tell anyone. All I remember was being in a fog. If you had told me at the time that this diagnosis was intended to build my resiliency, I would have laughed at you. All I wanted to know was why. I wanted to know what I had done to deserve this. Surely there was some kind of imbalance in the universe that was causing this, and I wanted to make it right. I am so grateful for YouTube because I happened upon an old recording of a talk show from Dr. Wayne Dyer, one of my great mentors. And I heard him tell a caller who called in who was suffering from a multitude of plights. And he said, how can you have gratitude for what's happening to you? And this completely changed my perspective. Every summer since 2014, I've gathered with my girlfriends and driven to Colorado with the purpose of hiking a 14er mountain. Yeah, I'm a little crazy. But this annual journey has been the most rewarding and empowering and encouraging week of my entire life. When I persevere and climb to the top of a mountain, I learn that I do have the power within me, not only to make it to the top of a mountain, and believe me, that is hard, but I have the power to make it through anything. Divorce? No problem. COVID? I got this. I remember the summer that I got diagnosed. I had gone on a climbing trip with several of the youth from here at St. Mark's. I hadn't told anyone about my diagnosis. I hadn't told anyone about the surgeries, the treatments, or anything that I was about to go through. I was still processing everything as we set out to climb what was then called Mount Evans, now called Mount Blue Sky. And as we climbed that day in the Canadian wildfire smoke and 60-mile-per-hour winds and big-time exposure, I thought to myself how much I absolutely loved being there. How grateful I was to be right exactly where I was at that exact moment. And even if I didn't understand why or how this was happening, I was so grateful to be where I was at that exact moment. I was here and I was able to be experiencing that moment right now, and that was all that mattered. So 3 lumpectomies, 5 weeks of radiation, yeah, I got this. Climbing these mountains, doing these really hard things, that's shown me that I have the power to make it through anything. Help my daughter through her father's suicide, yeah, I've got the power to make it through anything life throws at me. And you know what else I've learned? There's a reason that I continue to climb. There's a reason that I have a 17-page list of lessons I've learned from the mountain. There's a reason that I invite anybody that wants to come and climb with me every year to experience this. Because I was meant to have these obstacles in my life. I couldn't be the person that I am today without them. I needed to have them because I needed to grow through them. Yeah, they were extremely uncomfortable. Each mountain was brutally challenging mentally and physically. But the top, oh man, the top, it's absolutely incredible. And there's no way that I could have experienced the reward of the top without also experiencing the challenge of the climb. And I'm so thankful for the climb. But what happens is that sometimes we can't see the view until we get to the top. And we forget to have faith in the journey. So where are you at in your climb? What kind of lens are you looking at your journey with? If you see your journey as one obstacle after another, as things that happen to you, you'll spend your climb always looking up and never looking back and enjoying the view and seeing how far you've come. So I challenge you today to change your mindset and look for a way to be thankful for all of your circumstances, whatever they may be. They might be really uncomfortable. They might challenge you in ways that you've never imagined. You may not be able to make it to lunch some days, but you are where you are for a reason. Striving to see the purpose for your cancer journey might take some time, but when you can understand how you might one day help someone else through their cancer journey, or maybe how you might leave a legacy of inspiration for someone else, it just might change your view. Today, I've climbed 18 and 2 almost 14ers. And after the first 7 or 8, I had learned so much about myself, and I came so far in my journey that I felt called to invite other people with me to experience this empowering journey. With the generous support of St. Mark's and our outdoor ministries here, we're able to offer many different opportunities for all kinds of adventures, from climbing the hill at Pioneers Park to maybe climbing 4 14ers in one day. The what's the hardest thing question is the question I ask people the night before they get ready to climb. I feel like it's only fair to prepare them about what's to come. And remember the workout that I told you that I thought was boring? I've learned a little bit more from it. So you can go most of your life doing things that are kind of hard, right? But the really hard things, they only come once in a while. And the more you go through them, the better you can train yourself to be capable of navigating through them. And when you do, here's a little bit about how to go through them. The first 20% is all about adrenaline, right? Your instincts and your inner guidance. The middle 20% is through your support network and the systems you've put in place for navigating through it. But the last 20%, that little tiny bit to just get through the really, really, really hard stuff, is through your grit, your willpower, and your toughness. And that is where you build your resilience. In other words, you may not like it, but the more hard stuff you do, the more you're able to bounce back. So whether it's going through a tough workout, whether it's navigating the end of a relationship, whether it's climbing a mountain or going through cancer treatment, you can